This week, we'll be learning about the Constitution and starting Chapter 14 in Social Studies. What you have to do for Social Studies this week is number one, read all of the slides in this Google Slides presentation, which I'm also reading out loud right now. So if you watch the video, you've done number one. Number two, you're going to practice vocabulary using Quizlet and fill in the blanks on page 11 of this Google Slides presentation. Number three, you're going to do pages 86 and 87 in your workbook. And number four, you're going to read pages 201 to 203 in your textbook. So some questions that we will answer in this chapter are, what were the Articles of Confederation and why did they ultimately fail? How did the Constitutional Convention attempt to balance the interests of all the states? And what was the purpose of the preamble to the Constitution? And finally, what was the Great Compromise? When we come back to school next week, you're going to take part in some fun debates. So these are going to be topics about things you probably already have opinions about. It's not like the historical figure debates where you're having to do research and write a script. This is going to be just kind of off the top of your heads, things that you feel strongly about. So the topics we'll have available are baseball versus football, the better sport, cats versus dogs, the better pet, pizza versus sushi, the better food, and gun control versus freedom to bear arms. So the four topics will be posted in our classroom, and you will choose the topic that you feel strongly about or most strongly about, and you'll work with a group to form an argument. Each group must have members on both sides of the issue, and then you're going to have to try to work together to come up with a statement that both sides can agree on. The reason why we're doing this is because it's going to give you some real life experience with compromise and how hard it is to compromise on something that you feel strongly about, which is what happened at the Constitutional Convention. All of the founders of our nation, there were people with lots of varying opinions, and they had to agree on things in order to write a constitution or a set of laws and rules and a document that would tell how we would run our country and what our government would look like. So also in this chapter, we'll be doing some things where we're addressing misconceptions in history. And one kind of funny misconception about George Washington that still exists today is that he had wooden teeth. Washington did have dentures because he had dental problems throughout his life. However, his dentures were probably constructed from the actual teeth of humans, cows, and horses, mixed with metals like lead, tin, copper, and silver. So another thing we're going to be learning about is the three branches of government and how they balance out our government in the United States. So we're going to do a little exercise with this. Since we are not yet at school, you're going to be doing this with your family members. So what you're going to need to do this little exercise is you're going to need a book and 3 pencils. So first of all, you're going to take the book and you're going to try to balance the book on the end of your pencil. You can try it on the eraser side and you can try it on the pointy side. But see if it's at all possible to balance that book and how long you can keep it balanced. And then after you do that, you're going to ask 2 family members to help you, and each of you should hold a pencil. And then you're going to try to balance the book on the ends of your 3 pencils. And think about and talk about with your family members which method was more successful. So in this lesson, we'll be learning about the 3 branches of government: the judicial branch, which is the court system, the legislative branch, which is the Congress and the Senate, where they make laws for our country, and the executive branch, which is the presidential branch of the government. The 3 branches made our government stronger than it was under the Articles of Confederation, and you'll be learning more details about each of those branches of government later on in the chapter. So this stool represents the U.S. government. Each leg represents a different government branch: the legislative branch, the judicial branch, and the executive branch. The 3 parts of government help to balance power. America's government under the Articles of Confederation was like a one-legged stool. It was unstable and ineffective. So you will learn how the delegates at the Constitutional Convention redesigned our government. They created 3 branches or legs to better meet the needs of the growing nation. And then also, you can't do this while it's on the video, but I put a separate copy of this Google Slides presentation in the assignment. So you can click on this link to go to the Quizlet vocabulary practice for chapter 14. We haven't done it in a while, but Oh, oops, and I'm realizing it's not going to show you the Quizlet when I click on it, unfortunately. So we haven't done it in a while, but remember when you go to this Quizlet website, it's going to have all of the words, the vocabulary words from chapter 14, and you'll be able to play games or use flashcards with them, whatever you think is the most effective for you to learn the words. And then on the next page in the Google Slides, you see this document and you're going to fill out this chart. So you're going to put the term here, and the term is the word, the vocabulary word. So maybe it would be Constitution or Articles of Confederation. All of the different terms, you're going to write them down, and then you're going to say what they mean or write down a synonym for that word. Right here it says illustration. If we were in class, we'd be doing an illustration. It's very difficult to do with these tools like the pen and the eraser on a digital document. So you are not required to do the illustration, only if you want to. After you're done with that vocabulary page, you're going to go to pages 86 and 87 of your workbook. Fill in the blanks with what you know from learning the vocabulary for this chapter. And then finally, you're going to be doing your reading in the Red Social Studies textbook, pages 201 to 203. So I don't expect you to do all of this in one day. Most likely you'll do a little bit each day, maybe 20 minutes each day. You should be able to finish with no problem. I also wanted to note the activities on slides 14 and 15 on the Google Slides will be done after we return to school next week. So don't worry about anything past page 14. Okay, enjoy.